Hello again, guys, welcome back. This is Comic Kid here again, and today I am super excited to talk about this all-new Sideshow Flash figure. Now, as y'all can see, this is definitely not my typical set, and the reason being is that this figure is actually too big to fit in my usual set. So welcome to my game room, here's my back door, and here is Sideshow's Flash figure. Now, this is not the exclusive version, so it did not come with the Wally West head. And as much as I love Wally West and prefer him to Barry Allen, I do think as though the full cowl, white eyes, doesn't quite fit this more realistic take on the figure, and so I'd probably leave it as the Barry Allen head anyways, but still, I am just super excited to be talking about this guy today. Now, this figure is the 6 scale version. It is based off the comics and not the movies or anything, but to kind of get into the box art here, we have, as you can see, it's got wonderful art, same stuff as Sideshow's newer DC boxes have had. And so the box itself is actually wonderfully crafted. It's got some great classic edition art. Of course, you have the Sideshow 6 scale logo down here. I really like the side here. You get a bit more of that kind of classic Flash art and a much better look at the Flash himself in the art. The back here has an actual photo of the figure with all the legal info down there at the bottom. And then the additional wraparound art that, as you can see, wraps around to the front of the package. And then that's about it as far as the outside of the box goes. Nothing too fancy. It's a standard Sideshow box, and it looks great. So we're going to go ahead and crack this guy open and get into some of the specifics. Alrighty guys, here he is with just the cover off, and as you can see, he's got this, his iconic Flash belt that actually wraps around the entire, plastic packaging of the figure. And then on the sides, you actually get some colorized versions of the art that was on the front sleeve, which I actually think looks really cool. I just think it's really nice that Sideshow actually included a detail like that. There's even some stuff on the top there, and so I'm just very impressed with how Sideshow did this packaging. It is very detailed, and they just went the extra mile. As you can see, there's also a bunch of kind of accessories right up front, and so very well packaged. But we're gonna go ahead and actually open him up this time and see some of the more specific accessories and details for him. Alrighty guys, here he is out of the package and everything. All the accessories have been laid out here as y'all can see, and we're gonna go ahead and get into it. Now, right off, I'm already in love with this figure. Scale is great, sculpt is great, just some of the details you can immediately see are just phenomenal. Everything about this figure just screams the Flash. The ribbing on the suit looks fantastic, and despite such a simple design, it is the comic book version. They just absolutely nailed it. The belt itself here is flexible. You can move it if you need to, but even the details, like the wings on his head and down on the boots there as well, everything just looks amazing. Now, one of the more immediate differences that I do notice is in the back photo here. His Flash emblem does seem a bit more pronounced than it actually is on the figure itself. It's not at all a deal breaker for me or anything, it just feels almost a bit more like a sticker rather than an emblem, but that could just be how they did the photo. It is still 3D, it is textured, you can clearly tell that it's there, it's just not as thick as it is in this photo. Again, not even a complaint, just more of an observation. As y'all can also see, he's got these different lightning accessories. You got some short ones and some long ones, as well as several different hands. He also comes with these running shoes where the toe itself is bent, whereas the ones he comes with are flat, and so if you want him to be posed in a running position, you can absolutely do that. And then to get into the hands, he actually comes with a really good variety. It's not just the standard like fists and running hands. You have the thumbs up and like a pointing hand here. And I really like this. Sideshow, of course, is going to include extra hands, but if y'all watched my video on the McFarlane Flash, one of my biggest complaints was in the lack of hands. And so I do love how this figure actually comes with a variety of hands. It really just gives you a bunch of great like posing options for the figure overall, and so that like extra bit of accessories just really helps sell the figure in my opinion. Of course, he is the Flash, so it's not the most amount of accessories I've ever seen in a Sideshow figure, but he also doesn't need a whole lot. Really, the lightning accessories and a variety of hands and the additional running shoes are all he really needs to come with. He is also a little on the cheaper end. Most of these Sideshow figures retail for around $250. The Flash is $220, I believe, and I think $225 if you get the additional Wally West head. And so the price tag does make it a little easier to believe that he'd be a little light on accessories. But again, not at all a deal breaker. And then he does also come with the base like every other Sideshow figure does. I really like how it has like the Flash Museum down there. And then, of course, you have the stand that just pops right into the hole right there on the stand and kind of grabs the figure down in the crotch area. Now, I did notice that this guy did not come with an additional stand that kind of grabs him around the waist. My Batman one came with this, and I don't know if they just thought it was unnecessary for this figure or exactly what they were thinking there, but you really only have the crotch stand, and you can raise it and whatnot if you need to, but it only goes so low. So depending on what kind of pose you have him in, the stand might actually be completely useless, but that's really kind of up to how you pose him. Now, in regards to the figure himself, like, he comes with all the standard Sideshow joints. Now, I will caution you guys if you do plan on getting this figure, because he's a Sideshow figure, he's wearing real clothing, and so you can stretch out the fabric. You do gotta be a little bit careful with how you pose them, because the fabric itself can only take so much. But his arm comes out pretty far, he's got really good elbows, they actually come in really far, he's got a ball joint in the wrist, and some surprisingly good shoulder range as well. So you can see it's also got this like stretchy spandex material, and I think that's really nice. It does help the posability of the figure overall, and I just think that's a really nice touch. Obviously, I'm gonna be a bit careful just because this is the first time I'm posing the figure, but I do feel pretty comfortable just giving it a little tug. He does have some limited butterfly shoulder range in there, but not terribly much. The head here actually pops off, as you can see. And despite the good range in the neck joint there, you do want to be super careful about that. It is super easy to snap off, at least mine is, and those wings there are definitely going to be easier to break. I can't believe that just happened. But as you can see, he does have some good range in the head here. So aside from being extra careful with the head and the wings there like that, he's got a really good head. Now to move on to the legs, they actually have some pretty good motion. They come all the way up, get some pretty good range in the spandex there. Because it's tight, it does kind of pull the leg back down, but I mean, you can tell that it will definitely hold a pose like that without doing too much damage to the fabric itself. And then he's also got some kind of stiff knee joints here, but they do go up pretty far. It does look like they can go farther, but the fabric of the suit does kind of catch, and so that'd just be an example of the fabric limiting the posability of the figure. He also has some ball joint ankles that could use a little bit of extra range, but should also be enough, especially with the addition of the bent toe feet if you decide to use those. And then, of course, the hands here just kind of pop off pretty easy. And one thing I like is that each hand does come with its own ball joint. You don't have to worry about popping the ball joint itself out. And so then you can just kind of pop them back in, and you're good to go. Now, if you wanted to attach the lightning pieces as well, it would be the exact same thing. You just pop the hand off, kind of slide those joints, or kind of slide those pieces around the arms or the ankles, and then you're good. Now, the lightning itself is made of plastic. It does give a little bit, but you do still want to be really careful. They can still break easily. Just because they have a little bit of flexibility doesn't mean they won't still break. So if you do decide to buy this figure and you're going to have him like in some crazy dynamic poses with all the lightning and everything, then make sure he's not going to like wiggle or fall, just because those lightning pieces would be the first to go, most likely. And then the same thing applies towards the shoes as the hands. Just pop the ankle right off and you'll get the other shoe right back on. It is a little difficult, but that's more than likely just my figure. But the shoes themselves are actually super detailed. I actually realized I didn't talk about them, but they have some great just kind of spiky details. Nothing too complicated, but definitely appropriate for the Flash. The way they're sculpted, he definitely gets some traction, and it's just some nice extra little detailing. But that is everything we have for you guys today. I hope if you are thinking about buying this figure that you definitely consider it. I would say it's one of the stronger 6-scale figures that Sideshow has put out. And obviously it's not too complex a design, but I'm still very, very pleased with how he turned out. And I can't wait to pose him next to my Flashpoint Batman. But that is everything today, guys. Thank y'all so much for watching. Be sure to hit like and subscribe, and I will see you guys again real soon.